I'm Michelle Brooklyn is on assignment. The tariff threats continue on some of our top trading partners. President Trump announcing a plan to levy tariffs of 30% against the European Union and Mexico starting on August 1st. The president on Monday saying he was open to discussions with the EU and other trading partners before those tariffs kick in. The president announcing the planned tariffs in letters he posted on his Truth Social site. In a letter to the leader of Mexico, he acknowledged the country's role in helping stem the flow of undocumented immigrants along with fentanyl, but said the country hadn't done enough. In a letter to the EU, President Trump said the relationship had been, quote, far from reciprocal.
No, we're going to be talking to people. We have, I watched the show this morning. They were talking about, well, when's he going to make the deal? The deals are already made. The letters are the deals. The deals are made. There are no deals to make. They would like to do a different kind of a deal, and we're always open to talk. We are open to talk, including to Europe. In fact, they're coming over. They'd like to talk.
Today, we discussed the state of play and prospects for EU-US trade relations, including possible EU countermeasures. In light of the ongoing negotiations for an agreement in principle, as well as President Trump's announcement over the weekend of 30% general tariffs on the EU from the 1st of August, which I must say member states find absolutely unacceptable and unjustified.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen announced the EU would extend its suspension of planned countermeasures against the U.S. tariffs through early August, buying more time for those negotiations. The EU says it has prepared a list of tariffs on U.S. goods if they fail to reach a trade deal. Mexican officials say they are working to secure an alternative to the tariffs before the deadline. The EU and Mexico together account for about 1/3 of total U.S. good imports. But what could the impact be on U.S. agriculture? President Trump is turning up the tariff heat on a host of major trading partners. Last week it was Brazil and Canada. Over the weekend, Mexico and the EU.
Now we're at, past the 90-day point, and the president feels like he's made progress with a number of countries, and he would like to see those finished. And so he's, at least trying to give that a boost.
Glauber says with 27 countries in the EU, reaching any type of framework agreement will be difficult, and retaliation is a concern, with the U.S. relying on the EU to make up for lost Chinese business.
If we can't export to China, we need to find other places. And certainly back in 2018-19, we sold a little more to Japan. We sold a little more to the EU. A lot of those countries, right now are also threatening counter-retaliation against our tariffs.
Meanwhile, tariff threats on Mexico and Canada or retaliation would not impact agriculture, as those are protected under the USMCA.
And I'm not a trade attorney, but my understanding is that because of that agreement, that the flexibility that the Trump administration has to put on additional tariffs or to put some kind of reciprocal or punitive kind of tariffs in place is limited.
However, Olson fears the tariff war outside of agriculture could hurt the USMCA renegotiation, which expires in 2026.
Yeah, so I'm watching in particular the discussions with Mexico very closely, because Mexico is our largest buyer of corn. They're our largest buyer of wheat, the second largest buyer of soybeans.
Farm groups continue to watch the tariff war unfold. And last week, while in D.C., Farm Bureau leadership reminded President Trump they don't support tariffs.
We have asked him to recognize that the negative effects on our markets can be quite marked as they go through that process, and to hopefully get things worked out fairly quickly.
Vanderwall says they're trying to be patient, realizing the president uses tariffs to get countries to the negotiating table.
But that's his way of doing business, and admittedly, quite often he gets what he wants by doing it. So we've just got to hang on and hope that we get there.